Hello, I'm Donna. Welcome to my channel, and this is my Gobi here. Welcome to my channel, Transcending Trauma. So today I want to share a little bit about my story. I wrote something I wanted to share. I've been writing for a long time. I have like a lot of books started, and it's something just like sharing these videos that I feel a tug inside of myself, but that's kind of the thing, what I want to talk about today. And what I wrote about is when you live through abuse, the aftermath is complex trauma. And some of what that involves, besides damage to the nervous system, which is pretty important, includes the brain and, your ability to, think clearly and, focus and work and a lot of, important things to life. It also comes with a lot of seeds of self doubt for many reasons. Complex trauma is complex. There's many facets to it. There's many things, and you know, um, one of the reasons we can suffer self doubt, not only just from the gaslighting and from being abused and from someone, um, telling us over and over again that, we're wrong and we're, somehow don't matter. But, during abuse, we also disconnect from self. So when we take in the gaslighting and we believe the lies and, we internalize the rejection and that, um, and the abandonment, because abuse, all of us has rejection and abandonment in it. You know, Mistreatment of someone is rejecting them and abandoning them. They're not feeling seen and loved. When someone is abusing them. So, when we have these things happen to us, you know, um, when we, it's not even to shame self, the being automatically, without our conscious thought, our nervous system decides to create safety, and so when we go into agreement with the gaslighting and the rejection and sometimes people pleasing or freezing, these are trauma responses, like not doing anything about it. Those are just automatic responses from the nervous system that, it did to try to create safety for self. And what happens though is then we end up with this conditioned habit of not trusting self, So when someone lives through complex, repetitive abuse, then they lose that ability to trust self. And so why is trust in self important? It's very important. It's hard to make a decision without being able to trust yourself. And gosh, I was thinking when I slid on here to make this video about like safe people and safe relationships. And I want to validate that as well. When you grow up in dysfunction, you have no frame of reference for what safe people are, And I've had to teach myself this, it's not something I learned. And so I was always just very open to people and, not trying to teach being guarded or walled up, but about, you know, um, being cautious with your being, being open to connecting to people, but allowing them to unfold and, not ignoring things that you see that, and again, the problem with complex trauma, we can see red flags, and because of the gaslighting we grew up with, we can, then gaslight away the red flags. We can gaslight ourselves, and then even society, a lot of it happens, people, you know, well meaning and maybe don't realize, but like, oh, they're not that bad, or it's, just minimizing, Oh, I heard the other day from someone about someone that is definitely toxic. Oh, their bark is just much worse than their bite. Well, why are they barking? there's no reason to be barking and minimizing and mistreating and emotionally abusing and verbally abusing other people. We enable and we make excuses because I think our brains don't even want to wrap our heads around that some people just behave shitty, you know? And so, yeah, so what I've been doing and what I want to validate other people that have lived through complex trauma, who have been traumatized. Um, Yeah, it takes toll on a being. So, like maybe you don't know what safe relationships are yet. You know, I did. I had to Google and look it up. I got the book "Safe People" by Henry Cloud to try to learn what what are the behaviors of safe people versus unsafe people. And you know, it's like any learning curve. I'm learning what safe people are compared to unsafe people is and it's not to divide people, it's to self-protect. We can't help it. After we've lived through abuse, we just want to isolate. We don't want people at all. If you've lived through enough traumatic relationships, you just don't want a people, and that actually takes away from a fulfilling life. Having healthy connections is such a joyous part of life. They say mammalian connections are, you know, one of the next best things if you just can't people. You just can't find that you can people. And it's understandable, it's if you understand how trauma works, like if someone's in a car accident, you can understand that they have a fear of cars. If they're in multiple traumatic car accidents, they may never want to get in a car again. So, think about when that happens in relationship, where you're in multiple abusive relationships. There can be a fear of connecting to others, can be very hard to overcome. So, yeah, I just want to validate on that. And also that, while you're learning what safe people are, you may make some mistakes. You may, one, let unsafe people into your life again, but when you see the patterns, the repeating patterns, and we don't want to be so rigid either, because sometimes people have a bad day, but you're looking at a repeating pattern. Is someone constantly doing horrible things, saying negative things, saying demeaning things, and if they say a demeaning thing, are they accountable for it? And do they try to remedy and not do it again? You know? So, looking for actions and behaviors like that. And so, you know, um, I've been about 2 years out of dysfunctional connecting, where I have been pretty, I guess, what's the word? Maybe rigid or um, I don't know, pretty strict about connections in my life. Um, and I may have needed that, and if you're doing that, I think there's a difference between isolating and choosing more wisely. And at first, when you're starting to have awareness that you're choosing now what is safe person is. You're choosing now your connections. You're not just auto, going with urges, because when you've grown up in dysfunction, urges and connection, those butterflies, those feelings, that someone feels familiar or home, it's usually dangerous, you know. Um, Not the person you should be with because, if you've grown up in dysfunction, you have this automatic thing to, choose dysfunction. It's familiar. Brain loves homeostasis. It loves familiar. And if you grew up in dysfunctional familiar, that's no bueno. It's not good. So, yeah, just over the last few years where I'm learning about safe connections, I have more isolated and been a lot more picky, about um, who I spend time with. And, I don't want anyone that's been trying to spend time with me to feel bad. This is my own thing, just making my own nervous system feel safe, and I can see now I'm starting to really feel safe again Because when you've lived through like the complex trauma, um, that rigidity is there. Sorry, my computer just went out. And where, you know, someone making a shitty one-time mistake can feel like very threatening, because of course the nervous system turns on and is like, no, you know, unsafe, 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 when it may be just, you know, maybe not. Like I said, it's more a pattern thing, like looking at the full picture, Not saying any abuse is ever okay. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if someone like, like I said, does something shitty and is really accountable and remorseful and, doesn't like blame shift or change it or point back, well, you did this, those are not safe people. Those are people that aren't aware, like it's, if you bring up something that should be discussed, and then if they have issues, it's discussed after. It's not tit for tat. Well, you did this, and that's not safe people. So I wanted to read what I wrote, but I just want to finish on this, that like, during my, oh, Kobe's kicking up. Hold on, I'm getting kicked. So during your journey to, discovering what safe people are and what safe connections look like, you may like make some choices that are like I said, you may let someone unsafe in your life again, but like we're just noticing and being aware, and as long as you bring in your awareness at some point and, make sure you put up those boundaries when you're, in the vicinity of an unsafe person, stronger boundaries than with someone that you've already seen repetitive, safe behavior with. And then sometimes you might, push someone away that was safe, and that's sad. It is, it's a sad thing, but, maybe once you realize you did that, you can reach out and try to remedy. And, if it can't, then, there are other connections to be had in life, so, yeah. So, all right. I just want to share what I wrote and, just try to bring some understanding, like what complex trauma is and what abuse does to people. And, just really just drawn to share, even though there's still some past self-doubt that tells me my choices are always wrong, I want to share. It's inside of me, and I try to deny it, and it's there. So I feel like it's some kind of purpose inside of me that, I think that happens often when people have lived through trauma and they start to recover. They want to share with others because, I don't want to see other people go through this. I don't. And, if I can give something that helps, then, that's what safe relationships are about, wanting to see each other succeed and overcome. All right. So I just want to share what I wrote. So I try to write, and sometimes it's really good, profound, poetic, deep. But what it is often is disconnected. It's still outside of self. It's not my story. It's worldview. It's big. It's spiritual. It's global change. My story isn't that big, even though at times it feels catastrophic to me. My story is about abuse. It's about the damage it did to my brain, to my nervous system, to my life. About my journey to try to heal this damage. About many realizations. About an awakening, even though you don't realize you're asleep, living in a fog, carrying out automatic, unconscious behaviors, in so much pain that you don't even have the wherewithal to fathom that there is a better way. I am clearing out my computer. It's filled to an unworking capacity with stuff neglected, stuff unlooked at, stuff from the past. There is enough distance, enough healing that I can actually use the executive function part of my brain long enough to pick and choose what to keep. Very much in tune with my current life, the ability to see more clearly and choose more wisely. I opened something I wrote several years ago, and this is it. Sometimes I'll be doing something like scraping out a pan to put food away, and I will start crying. I remember the times when I couldn't even, he's totally moving around. Sorry. I remember the times when I couldn't even scrape out a pan without someone screaming at me and throwing a fit, like I was doing something horribly wrong by scraping food out of the pan to put it away. That's the type of oppression I had to live under. When I read that today, I don't necessarily focus on the abuse I lived through. I see the aftermath of damage it did to my psyche. That I wouldn't be able to scrape food out of a pan without crying. That my listeners, my readers, is the effects of complex trauma. The abuse is terrible. The aftermath, horrific. So just cheers to healing the broken brain and the broken nervous system after living through complex trauma. I just want to share, and I want to help where I can. And I have gotten to a place where I can think again, and I can choose, and I do feel safe most of the time. All right, just wanted to share. Peace out.